Hi everyone, Rory Neary from Data Spinners here. In the last video I did a wireframe as to how I expected this project to run. So we had this image, so this is the first page. I'll actually have some random image there, and then we'll have this is the sort of first real page. Then we've got a new line item page, and finally we've got a page where we can view the images. That's a general idea. What I'm going to do this time, I am going to do it from scratch actually, I'm going to create a home for all of my data. So I'm going to jump onto SharePoint in this case. So let's have a little look at, go on to Microsoft and wait for all this sort of thing to come through. Lovely. Sign in. That's good. Okay. So we are going to jump into SharePoint, and we're going to build a list into which we can put our data. So what I am going to do is I'm going to create two lists, one to hold the headers and another one to hold the line items. So I am going to go for new list, and I am going to call it. Let's call it. I'm going to be very bland on this project header, and I'll give some advice here. Please don't have spaces in any of these things when you're working with SharePoint. It can create complete havoc when you're trying to create URLs and all sorts of things. So if you're using any of these things, do not put spaces in the names. So we're going to hit create. Wonderful. I'm bound to get this wrong first time, but we'll give it a go. Now then, I never use title because it's mainly because title is a default name. You can't really give it a new name, but I suppose in this case we can get away with it because we could have a title for the project. It's not. I don't like it though, so I'm just going to go with. So this is going to be a single line of text. That's easy enough. I'm going to call it project name. Okay, project name, single line of text. Wonderful. I'll put the name of the project. Okay, lovely. Enter a default value. I'm not going to do a default value. Is it required? I tend to not put them as required, but maybe I think on this one it'd be a bit daft if it didn't have a project name. It's just that it can be a bit, it can be unhelpful when you're creating a Power App to have items that are required, because I find it easier to put the requirement into the app itself. So we're going to have project name, and we're going to have, well, you know, some of these things, we'll go for show hide columns. Now we have got a created date anyway. We'll have a quick look at that. I'm going to go apply. Now I don't know whether or not that's a date time, and I'm just going to go. I'm going to just put everything in myself in this case. I'm having a little moment whether or not that's the right thing to do. SharePoint will force the date created anyway. So, and I don't think a date time created is very interesting anyway. So let's see how it behaves. So I'm going to do. Let's go for a new item, and we'll call it. Now this one here, I notice it's got a title. It's required, so I put test in there, and I'm going to go test project, and I'm going to just press save on it. Now then, what I want to have a look at is, I think that must be a it must be a date time field, which we can have a look at. I'm going to have a look at the list settings here, and I'm going to go for, yeah, you can see created as a date and time, so that's quite nice actually. So I'm going to stick with that. Got to oops, sorry about that, bounced all over the place here. Back we go. So I'm happy with that, and interestingly enough, it seems to have lost its. I quite like that. I quite liked it where it had the showed certain fields. I'll come back to that some other time. So let me pause it for a second. Okay, yeah, the best way of doing this is just to go to Edit Current View, and when you get to the current view, you'll see when it finally pops up. Yeah, you can see it's having a little bit of a think up there. We can see that we can do a created. That'll be our date time. Quite like modified, but in the case of the header, it's not going to be modified. Well, it might be modified from time to time, so we'll put it on there. And you can see on this title thing, you can see it's there. I don't particularly need to see that. What I will do on that is I'm going to change the behavior of that item, the title item, to be not required. I think I can get away with that. So I am going to go to list settings, and that's for the bit where you get to click on the title itself. So I'm going to think there. Require that this column contains information. I've put no, and I'm going to OK that. And then when we go back to the, I quite like that project header. That's quite nice, easy to navigate to. And I'm going to get rid of title from this current view because it's no help to me. And what I'm going to do is get rid of that. So I'm going to OK it, and I'm going to create an extra field. We said before on the that we wanted to have some headline things, so which was name of project. Well, we've got that. We've got the username. I'm just trying to think of a sensible way of doing that. But we've got we know the date start. What we definitely don't know is a date end. So we probably should put. I'll put a date. We know the date started. That's fine because it's when you kind of click it on this. Having said that, the date you create it on here is not necessarily the date you start it. So I am going to change my mind, and I'm going to call it. I'm going to create a new field. I'm going to go. It's going to be date, and I put date started. I have no idea if it turns it into a date field, a date time field, or a date field. So date started. Lovely. And I'm going to do another field. I'm going to give it a date and give it date completed. So that's good. And I'll keep that created date. It's kind of all right, but date started is probably more important because you may create the line item on one day, but you may have actually started the project, 3 days previously. So and then I'm going to put the teacher name, which is probably going to ruin things in reality, because it could be like manager, that sort of idea. So let's just put it as teacher anyway, though. So I'm not going to do it as person. I'm going to go single line as text. I'm going to put teacher. Lovely. And we're going to go OK to that. We'll put something like I'll go multiple lines. Actually, I don't think conceptually the single line of text and multiple lines of text make much difference. We may use some later on. So we've got single line of text, and we are going to put, so we have the teacher, we could put project brief. We're going to OK that. So we've got a project brief, and then we are going to finally, we're going to put in multiple lines. You'll need multiple lines of text for, this is what's going to store the headline photo. So we need to have that. So let's just call it final project img. So the final project image, and we'll go save on that, and that sorts me out for the moment. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop here, and the next video will be one where we start kicking off the shape of the app itself. So we'll see how we go with that. So yeah, give me the thumbs up if you like it. Do subscribe, because that gives me, you know, warm fuzzy feeling and all that sort of thing. And yeah, keep working at it. You know, comments down below. Thank you. Bye.